Hello and welcome to Inside Music, episode number 97. I'm your host, James Shotwell, and my guest this week is Tanner Jones of You Blew It. But I guess there's an exclamation point at the end, so it's more like, You blew it! Tanner and his band have been making waves in the alternative scene for a couple of years now, but I think they're about to hit a whole new level of success when their brand new record, Abendrot, arrives in stores this Friday, November 11th, through Triple Crown Records. And this is the band's first release on Triple Crown, who has had a stellar year as far as music is concerned. You may remember the Tiny Moving Parts episode earlier this year contained a little bit of gushing over how great label head Fred was, and we do that a little bit again in this episode. But we talk about a lot of other things too. Tanner and the rest of You Blew It have made a decision in their career to talk about the real things going on in day-to-day life. You know, it's very easy in music to start writing about things that don't really matter in the big scheme of life because distractions are very easy for us. We like them. As people, we like things that distract us from all the horribleness going on around us. But sometimes it's very important that we stop and really allow ourselves to feel everything, to take it all in, to see what's going on in the world around us, and especially in a week like this, the week of the U.S. presidential election. There's no better time to really soak in what's happening around us and think about the future and how you want to approach it. I feel that that's what You Blew It are doing with this new record, and I think Tanner agrees with me, at least to some extent. You know, we talk a lot about where the album came from and what he was going through when he wrote it, and the struggles of keeping your head up when you kind of start to not think of yourself so highly. It's a really great conversation. I think you're going to enjoy it quite a bit. But before we get there, I got to cover a couple of bases. First and foremost, this episode of Inside Music, like all episodes of the show, are brought to you by Holix, the music industry's leading digital promotional distribution company. And what that means is that Holix helps record labels, managers, and independent artists from all over the world share new and unreleased music without fear of piracy. How they do that is through a secure platform and state-of-the-art technology unlike anything else you'll find on the internet today, and you can try it for free for just 30 days. All you have to do is visit Holix.com. That's HAULIX.com. Secondly, I want to encourage you to follow the show on Twitter. Our handle is @InsideMusicPod or @InsideMusicPod. You can find updates on the show, additional bits that maybe we had to cut for one reason or another. We'll mention what happened there. And we also have a lot of information about making it in the music industry today. Whether you want to be a publicist or a musician or anything in between, there's something on our Twitter account for you every single day, and I hope you check it out. Finally, you got to buy this You Blew It record. In a year where in a time of year when we're getting close to everyone choosing their favorite records of 2016, I don't think you can accurately make a decision unless you've heard Abendrot from You Blew It. The album again arrives this Friday, November 11th, and I'm going to play a little music from the record right now, as chosen by Tanner himself, which you'll hear discussed at the end of the podcast. Okay, I think that's everything we have. I want to thank you so much for listening. We are so close to episode 100, and I'm doing my best to hit it by our goal of November 23rd. So keep tuning in, look for 2 episodes in the coming week, and I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the show.
A millstone golden swings soft and assertive to the side. Undeniably pure, my past it has no future.
I can't lie. not wonderful considering last night, but other than that, fine.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm fine. Yes, similar. I guess when I woke up this morning, I did have a thought where I was like, I mean, how do we not at least just start there and see how the conversation goes?
Oh yeah.
I was like, it's kind of unavoidable, and I mean, it's
yeah.
I felt like all day long, everyone I talked to was just kind of like not doing anything. Like I feel like no one was productive today.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. The office today was like not a ghost town, but it felt like it.
Yeah, everyone's both in their own head and connected to the internet.
Yeah.
So it was also kind of funny because I was kind of trying to grab some last minute research, and I was like, what's the latest thing Google says when you Google "you blew it"? And there's like 100 articles that are like, "Congratulations, America, you blew it."
Oh God! Oh no!
So it's like clogging the feed, and every few there's like a one story of you, and then like a bunch more that's like America blew it, and I was like, come on.
Damn it!
I mean, maybe that's good reverse marketing. It's going to be on people's minds,
right?
but I don't know what's been going through your head though. In all honesty, like throughout today, or I guess last night into today.
Man, it's hard to put into words. It's just been all like swimming upstream. It feels like because like not only contemplating the whole election and trying to let it sink in, but just like it's never something I'd considered as a plausible outcome, at least enough to start considering like consequences or like things that a Trump presidency would mean. So like when I think of one outcome, another one comes, and then I have to jump from that one to the next one, and then another one pops up, and then another, and then another, and then another. So it's like all very shallow skipping and jumping through just terrible ideas of what it might bring. So it's like I guess to answer your question very simply, just like overwhelming. That's a good word for it.
That's absolutely a good word. It's one of those things where it's like part of you wants to believe like maybe not that much will change because the system is broken and it'll stay broken, and then part of you is like, yeah, but I didn't think this was gonna happen. So anything's possible now.
Yeah. Well, one thing someone said to me, which kind of helped. Like, I don't necessarily consider myself like a very staunch Democrat. Like, I'm more socially democratic than anything else. But someone said, at least now they can't blame it on the Democrats because it's a Republican-controlled Senate and House, and the government or the leader of the free world is also going to be Republican. So if things are fucked up, then can't blame us anymore,
No, definitely, and I agree with you also in that I don't consider myself, I guess, a full-blown Democrat by any means or anything along those lines. But this was one election where it kind of became a thing where it was like you got to choose one or the other because standing in the middle just wasn't a logical option, at least for me.
Yeah.
And that's
too much at stake.
Yeah, and that's no shade on anyone that chose to go that route, except for the people who wrote in Harambe. There's like 11,000 of them.
Oh my God, I heard about that.
Yeah, I there's like a whole list of like the write-in nominations. Harry Styles got a couple of votes, and it's just
Jesus Christ. Why even go out? Why even vote?
Yeah, well, right. It's just like you made all the effort to get to a poll, and then you're like that guy from One Direction. Like he hasn't been doing anything. Why not him?
You registered to vote to write a dead gorilla,
right?
In the write-in,
and not even a citizen, not even a living thing. Just like the dank memes will rule us all.
Jesus Christ! Yeah.
I was actually talking to my wife about it this morning, and I said, I guess if I learned anything from it, it's like in your head you have this voice, and you like to think that when you see, I summarized it by saying. It goes to show how often a room full of people laughs and only half the people get the joke. Yeah. Like that's what I've learned.
That makes sense. That is a very, very good way to put it.
because I've been watching things and I've been like, we all see this, right? Like we all see this disaster happening, right. And then last night you learned like, oh no, like maybe I'm in the minority.
Yeah, like the whole day I was following 538, and it's like. Clinton's chance of winning is 70% to 38, and Clinton's chance of winning Florida is 55 to 45. And I'm like, we got this in the bag. Like this is going to be easy. And then a bunch of states started falling for Trump, and we're all like, oh no.
Right. I was refreshing 538 myself and being like, it's dropping. Oh no.
Yeah.
It's slipping.
Yeah.
Oh, so frustrating. But
Hmm.
luckily you have a cure coming. This is a horrible transition, but you guys have some kind of relief coming this Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. For us, it's going to be a nice little shining bright spot in a sea of week of darkness.
Yeah, I think other people are gonna feel the same. I've been able to sit with the record for a couple of weeks now, and I really like it. And I think that I think that is as horrible as the events of this week were. I think it's only gonna help people kind of connect with this album.
Right. Hopefully, we had some candid conversations in the U camp, and we came upon the same outcome, at least optimistically, if we're trying to keep our heads up.
Yeah, you got to find a silver lining.
Yeah.
And I guess when I listen to this record, I got the sense that there seems to be kind of a theme of this confronting struggle or accepting what's wrong and trying to find a way through it, or kind of just being honest about your role in what's happening around you a lot. Like that seemed to be a thing that I found myself coming back to.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's go back a bit, because people have been waiting on this full length for a little bit. So when did you guys actually start working on it, or how long have you been working on it? It's been a while since you've had a full length come out.
Well, I mean, it feels like forever. You know? We let's see. We started writing in, I think, February or March of 2015. And we had planned on recording in June or July or something around that time. And it was right around that time that we felt like we were rushing. Like we realized we felt like we were rushing it, trying to get a product finished for it to be exactly that, a product. So we kind of scrapped plans to go to record, came back to the drawing board and kind of started over, not necessarily from scratch, but approached everything from a different perspective. So that was around August. And by the time October rolled around of last year, we had already felt, fairly finished with it. But we felt that we'd be done by February, so which is when we planned to record it. We recorded in February. And ever since then, we've been just sitting on it and waiting and biding our time until the time felt right and everything fell into place to release it. So that's the very long answer. The very short answer is about a year and a half.
No, I like the long answer. That's fine.
Good.
When did Triple Crown come into that? Was it not until after you'd already kind of gotten the album written? Was that earlier this year?
Yeah, we had recorded in February with the idea and plan to release it on Jade Tree. But some things happened where they weren't able to release it anymore. Even I'm not really sure what happened there. But luckily, Triple Crown was there waiting. So once we got the word that J Tree didn't plan on releasing it when they said they would, Fred was there to buy the contract out. And, he did us very, very big, he did us a solid by putting it out, because that didn't happen until August. So turning a record around from signing contracts to putting it out in 2 to 3 months is that's wild, as I'm sure you know.
Absolutely, and I've had a couple of Triple Crown artists on, and everyone, and I say this too, but Fred's like one of the greatest people you can hope to work with.
Yeah, I always like to say I consider him a friend, and I really hope that he also considers me a friend.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, because he is one of those like so genuinely nice people that you kind of have to be like, do you really like me, or is this, or
right.
are you just in like default mode? Because
he's so cool, and he's like so very easy to like just talk to and like get business done really quick. Like if you want to shoot the shit, he'll shoot the shit with you, but at some point he's like, all right, let's get right into it. I need this. And then we're like, okay, cool. I got it for you. And then it's over. Like there's no awkward moment I've ever had with Fred when it comes to dealing with business, because he's just, like you said, such a genuinely nice guy.
So it probably didn't take long for you guys to agree that Fred was the guy to release the record.
No, actually, when we signed the contract to release the record initially, it came down to Triple Crown and J Tree, and it was such a terribly hard decision to make. So once he came around, it was just like, well, here it is. Like, that's the decision that we very well could have made back then. And I don't want to say we should have back then, because the time we worked with J Tree was great. But it just feels like, kind of kismet.
Yeah, and I think it's going to go well for you, because I've seen a ton of people talking about the record in the last couple of weeks. I know there's a Billboard mention in the last few days. So, like, there's the momentum that they've been able to get behind the record in such a relatively short amount of time is really impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, he's kind of making dreams come true, it feels like, because this is just an example. One time, when Front Bottoms released Town of the Hawk, they did like that Spotify. They did it's like behind the scenes kind of track where they talk about what the song is about over on top of the songs.
Yeah.
And I always thought, man, I really want to do this. This is really, really interesting. And without talking to Fred about it, he's like, hey, I'd really like you to do this thing. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like hell yeah. He's kind of like that dream partner that knows what you're thinking when you're thinking it.
So that's something he's able to make happen for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm. And I think that's kind of extra awesome in this case, and for a lot of your music. But I feel like your music is a good example of, like, people are going to infer one thing, but if they sat down and were able to talk to you about it, you would probably tell them something completely different.
Yeah, actually, that's somewhat intentional. I think probably the best thing about music, at least for me, is that it's relatable. You can apply your own meanings to some songs if they line up in a certain way. So sometimes I try to make my lyrics intentionally at least somewhat vague, only because music has very much helped me get through some very tough times. So if someone can find that same solace in something that they think the song is about, then I feel like that's a win for us.
So do you have any? How do you approach something like a behind the track without kind of being like, this is what this song is about, and by kind of still leaving that room for people to make their own influences?
I just let it all hang out. If they don't want to hear it, then they don't have to listen to it. But but I always thought those things are very interesting to know. I almost listen to the Front Bottoms one more than the actual record, because it's just so interesting to hear that stuff. But sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're absolutely fine. I think people will be interested, because even by the title, I'm sure you've spawned at least a couple dozen Google searches. People have to know what these words mean.
Right.
And I'm sure that that's a little bit intentional. I like artists that kind of make me do a little bit of legwork, where I'm like, okay, if I want to get all of it out of this, I'm gonna have to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing growing up listening to music. Is I don't know if this is actually true or not, but it always feels like the bands that have like you said, make me do a little legwork. It feels like that art means a little bit more to them, which means a lot to me. So just trying to emulate that, I guess.
And it continues in the track listing. I mean, I'm sure you have a few fans that are going to have to Google autotheology, which I know what it means, but I was like, we're going deep here. We're getting a little existential in our track titles.
Yeah, I guess I don't even. Is that a word? I don't know. It seems like it was a nice word, and I guess it worked out.
I mean, I think you could say that it's a word for some other words. It works enough.
It's I really, really use my poetic license on that one.
Yeah, I always wonder that sometimes, like how intentional are like song titles and stuff in that way, where it's like, how much are you trying to get me to think a little bit deeper with these song titles?
Yeah. Same here.
Especially on a record.
Were you
Yeah, I guess I kind of am. Especially on a record like this, where even the album, there's a lot of different ways you can kind of infer what it means. There's the obvious, but when you start looking at the song titles, I'm like, okay, is there something I'm supposed to be looking for here, or is there a theme showing itself?
Yeah, well, autotheology, since we've been talking about it, just felt nice and natural for the song to be named that because, theology, the song is very, the hook, the refrain of the song is all about God. And just the whole idea of, the second verse talks about, what is it? It's like I'll walk on water too. It's kind of a man putting himself in the shoes of God, kind of trying to overtake him in that sense. So that's where the word auto comes in. I don't know. I guess I just thought I was being very, very clever in joining those two words together.
And how about the title Minor Y?
Oh, that one. That was actually a demo title. It was just a very easy way for us to remember how to. I feel like I'm totally killing the magic of that one, but
it's a good song. So I mean, people should still tune in. That's one of my favorite songs on the record. But I was reading the title, I was like, that's an interesting one.
It was it's in a minor key, and it was very much inspired by Y Oak. So that's where Y came in.
Amazing.
And we're just like, let's just squish those words together, and then voila, a brand new word.
Oh, that's one of those. See, that's the kind of story that I hope is met with somebody coming up to you at a show and being like, I feel like you named it this for some like very deeply personal reason, and you're like, nah, it's just a joke. It's just it made me giggle once.
Oh man, that would kill me. That would kill me if that happened. I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, where did you even decide on the album title for it? Because the disappearance of the sun is another very example of like something very poetic, a very poetic way of saying something.
It's I think the kind of loose English translation is Afterglow. One, we didn't want to name it Afterglow because
Everclear did that.
Everclear, yeah. We're big fans of that record, so it always felt like it was a little bit too close to that. And on top of that, I feel like, this is me butchering the translation of the word, but Abendrot, we felt like that was a much prettier word to put on the cover of a record. And not only that, like you said, it just felt like a really good metaphor for personifying the record. And also, if you can picture the record cover, it's that dark blue background with like a square in the middle, the hand coming out, and the square has a really beautiful gradient on it. And what we call that to each other is the puddle, because the way we like to view that is the Abendrot sky is reflecting onto that puddle, and then it's taking that external stimuli in and reflecting it back. So we felt like that also was a very, very good personification for the record, because inherently that's really what most records are, just kind of taking an external stimuli and reflecting it back out on the world from a different perspective.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And do tell, what is the perspective that we're getting on this record? Like, what are people going to hear you talk about on this album?
Around the time of recording this and writing, mostly writing, I was kind of collapsing in on myself, for lack of a better explanation. I'm a very bad perfectionist, so I was letting these songs and each iteration of each song kind of drive me insane. So it's a little bit meta in a sense. The record is about what I was going through while trying to write the record, also trying to juggle, that mid-20s flail of graduating college and thinking you know who you are, but realizing that you really don't, and not necessarily liking the person that you see. So just trying to find that balance between mental health and self-identity.
I like the sounds of that, and I'm always kind of someone that's drawn to that because I kind of fixate on that, as you put it, the 20s flail. As I'm about to celebrate my 29th birthday, but I feel like I still flail quite a bit. and I think there's something about that that's inherent with what we both do, like this whole trying to make it in the music industry. You kind of have to. There's this whole like, am I something or am I nothing all the time?
Yeah, it sucks. It's like everyone tells you not to compare yourself to anyone else, but the only way to gauge success is to compare yourself to someone else. It's like from my stance in the music industry, the labels are like, your numbers were better last tour. We need better numbers. Your numbers aren't as good as this pre-order we did last time, so you got to have better numbers. And I'm sure for you, it's I know when you were doing mostly stuff with journalism, I'm sure it was, you had to get a certain amount of readers or a certain amount of clicks or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's one of those things that like everyone's going through their own private little battles like that, but it's not something that gets kind of brought into the spotlight and then kind of deconstructed to be like, why is it this way? And that's something I think you at least attempt to do on this record. Yeah, I think you find some success doing so.
Yeah, thank you. And I definitely feel lucky for being able to do that, because I feel like in that process, I at least found myself to a comfortable degree. I feel very much more comfortable in my skin than I did when writing this record. And that could just be, therapy and medication and things like that. But I don't think it is. I think it's just me being lucky enough to put those things on paper and kind of reflect in a way that a lot of people can't.
And hopefully we'll aspire to through hearing the record.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to put that out into the world like I'm expecting this album to heal you, but I mean, hopefully it at least helps you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I feel like any good musician doesn't hope for someone to like their song. I feel like any good musician hopes that someone connects with that song, and that's really all I want to do. I'd rather get a 2 on Pitchfork and have someone really, really connect to this record than get a 10 on Pitchfork and have it be a very shallow representation of something that someone is having a very hard time going through.
Yeah, that's exactly the other day when I was writing about the record. I mentioned the fact that it feels like an album for 20-somethings, and that it's kind of like it's an album that's kind of like shit's fucked. We've got to figure something out. Like it's like I feel like so much of entertainment is about escapism. Like there's this great line The Simpsons just used the other day where they're like, TV, a beautiful distraction from the painful reality of death. And it was just and I was like, and that's what most entertainment is. So then you hear a record that's like the struggle, am I right? And you're like, yes, there's a struggle, let's talk about it.
yeah I feel like there's nothing more empowering than taking on your demons.
Yeah, and we lose sight of that because it's a lot easier not to.
Yeah, like you said, like the Simpsons quote, it's very easy to tune into kind of shallow representations of things and go by that as gospel.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and as someone that works in a creative field, there's that temptation where it's like, well, that's the stuff that sells a lot more than the stuff about the struggle.
Yeah.
99% of the time.
Yeah, that's the hard part too. It's like you see a lot of bands getting very successful, and I won't name any names, but like doing just writing songs essentially about bubblegum, Yeah. And it's like, man, it sucks to see that get elevated so high.
It does, and especially when you're somebody that's working on like the struggle itself, and you're like, come on, like I know you're going through this too. It's one of those things where like you can't call them out per se, but it's like you're a human, so therefore struggle. Yeah. Let's not pretend.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah, well, at least we see it the same way. So there's something. It's a start.
Yeah, amen.
So what happens now? So the album comes out on Friday. You guys don't have like any tours or anything on the immediate horizon, do you?
No, at least none that I can talk about.
All right, so that's fair. That's fair. That's how it is this time. That's how
Yeah.
it is right now for you. You're in that like we have a whole bunch, but not a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
So stuff is coming.
Yeah, things are coming. I expect pretty soonish. What's today? Oh, it's only November 9th, so it'll be a little while before we announce, but there are definitely things in the works.
Well, there's like, the album's got to come out. You've got to promote the album heavily for a bit,
Yeah.
and then the next thing. Basically,
Yep.
you're preparing for 2017,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's going to be busy.
Yeah. I mean, if we're lucky.
If you're lucky, fair enough. I think you will be, man. I think you will be. You guys are definitely on the rise right now, and you've been so for a while. But I feel like this album, there's a lot of people kind of giving you a chance that haven't before.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. Every tour we definitely see a growth. But I guess if I had it my way, it'd be really easy to pick, the meteoric rise to fame and et cetera, because that's just easy and it looks very cool. But I think if we had it our way, we would just kind of keep hammering away at it and growing in increments that are measurable. It just feels a little bit better that way, and I don't feel like it's as easy to lose yourself in it. I still feel like the person I did the day that I started this band. So for that, I'm thankful.
A big part of me believes that the trick to getting older is just feeling the same.
Yeah. That's real. I've never thought about it that way, but I think I'm gonna get that tattooed on my neck now.
All right, I'm gonna look for it in the next album. I'll just be like, that friggin' line, that's mine.
I'll put a dash James Shotwell underneath it.
Just a little asterisk in the liner notes. Just a co-write credit. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
You don't even got to report me to your song to the publisher. It's fine. I won't even ask for it.
I appreciate it.
But in all honesty, I do appreciate the fact that you guys are out there telling it like it is, and I hope you're able to continue doing so for a great while still.
Yeah, we try.
We try. That's all you can do, man. That's all the best you can say at the end of the day is I tried.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, if you ever feel like you've actually pulled it off, you've reached the end. It's time to stop.
Yeah, I'm getting that tattooed on the back of my neck.
Perfect. All right, that's fine. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you get on, but I wish you the best with the release this week. Like your week can only go up from here.
I hope other people feel the same way about it. But yes, it's a good thing to look forward to.
Can I ask this real quick? What song do you want as the intro for this episode? Because I have access to the whole album. Is there a song that you want a little snippet of for this?
I feel like Forecasting is probably the most immediate. A lot of people that I show the record to connect with that song a little bit quicker than the other ones. So if I could request that song, I feel like I could.
You totally can. So you call it, and it'll be on here. No, I'm more than happy. I like the song. I like the whole record, and I think people will too. So best of luck again, and thanks so much for talking to me today.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. And hey, I gotta. This has been on my mind for the past, over a year. You sent me those questions to answer for Holics about a year ago, and I sent you some smart punk emails. And I was in kind of a bad spot then, so I was kind of trying to avoid all press and things like that, and that just kind of came at that time. So I'm really, really sorry I never got back to you.
Oh, that's fine, man. It happens. I appreciate that, though, sincerely. That doesn't happen very often. So, like, we just recorded a rare moment in music journalism.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave that open in the air and have you think that I was just shunning you and
that's cool.
Deleting emails on a whim. But yeah, sorry for that.
No, it's fine. Now I regret not opening with the discussion about the emails. But there's been enough email drama this year that I just,
Oh God, too close.
Too soon. Hold it up. All right, okay. Now we have to stop because we got too close to the sun. Our wings are melting. It's over.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Back in the middle.
You have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, man. So good talking to you.
Yes, same to you. Bye.
Yeah. Later, man.